couple of weeks, we've been presenting you, Jets Nation, some of the top mock drafts from around the league and breaking down what these potential picks might mean for the green and white. Before we get started, though, let's bring back in Anthony Becht and Erik Coleman, who are going to be bringing us some analysis on these mock drafts. Fellas, let's dive right into our first mock draft. This one comes from ESPN's Mel Kiper Jr. And as we've been seeing as of late, a trend, we've got quarterback Zach Wilson coming in at number 2. But the pick I want to focus on, Ethan, is this at number 23, cornerback Greg Newsome II. What do you like about Newsome?
Well, first off, this makes a lot of sense from a position standpoint because the only cornerback that Joe Douglas has signed in free agency is Justin Hardy. And there is a lot to like about Greg Newsome. At his pro day, he ran a 4.38 40-yard dash. He's got good height and weight, 6'1", 192 pounds. He only allowed a total of 10 completions in 2020. He led the FBS in passer rating against at 15.77. So one of the biggest questions then is, how does he fit what the Jets want to run on defense? And for that, I defer to Erik Coleman because he knows a little more about football than I do. So Erik Coleman, how do you think Greg Newsome fits in to what the Jets want to run on defense? And what do you think about him as a prospect?
I love Greg Newsome as a prospect. He's big. He has long arms. He has excellent feet. You know, when you look at these cornerbacks, everyone looks at the 40 time. How about you watch some tape, check out his footwork. He does a great job in press coverage. He's big, he's physical, but he's also well-versed in cover 3 and cover 4. Played a lot of zone coverage at Northwestern, so I think he'll fit in well with his defense. He has a great nose for the ball, attacks the ball well when it's in the air. So he's a guy who's going to get those tip balls. He's going to force turnovers. He's going to help turn around your defense. I think Greg Newsome, obviously a smart guy coming out of Northwestern, has a nose for the football and would be a great addition to the Jets secondary.
Greg Newsome, we haven't seen that one in any of the mock drafts, so that's an interesting pick there. And as you guys could see, we had Travis Etienne coming in at that number 34 overall pick on that mock draft. But I'd like to jump to the second mock draft that we have, and this one comes from CBS Sports' Chris Trapasso. And like we said, pick number 2, quarterback Zach Wilson, seems to be trending here in a lot of mock drafts, so we're not going to review that one. But EA, I would like to notice pick number 23 overall, offensive lineman Tevin Jenkins. Why do you think Tevin Jenkins would make a good fit in the green and white?
Well, Liv, first off, Jenkins, if you take a look at his headshot, he looks like a scholar with his glasses on. But make no mistake about it, he's going to take your lunch money and you're not going to feel good about it. This kid is nasty. He played right tackle at Oklahoma State, worked on the left side throughout the offseason. He's 6'6", but some scouts, some pundits have talked about his length. He's not the longest guy, even though he is 6'6", but he's nasty. He's a physical dude who's going to get after you in the run game. I'm wondering, actually, if Jenkins ultimately would play on the interior at the guard position, but make no mistake about it, he's going early in this draft.
And we're going to remain on this mock draft here for a second. Anthony Becht's going to bring you back in on this one. Pick number 34 overall, running back Najee Harris. Now, what's interesting, a couple of mock drafts already, we've seen running backs at that number 34 overall pick. We mentioned Travis Etienne earlier. What do you think is the biggest difference in these two running backs? Who do you like more for the green and white?
Yeah, you know, I love both of these guys, but they are significantly different players. When you look at Etienne, he's a home run hitter. This guy can score anywhere, anytime, any place on the football field. He's the best pass-catching running back in the draft as well, and he is a glider when he runs. From a running back's perspective and similarities, think about Chris Johnson from Tennessee Titans many years ago. That's the kind of playmaker he can be. On the flip side, Najee Harris, you know, he's a very astute player, number one, very smart, but he's just a guy that from play 1 to the last play of the game, you wouldn't know the difference in his work ethic and his speed and his burst. He's going to give you 4 quarters of full play. The one thing though about Harris is if you're going to pick him, he needs to be your guy because he wants to rock. He wants to be in the game. He's a 3-down kind of back. He's not going to make a lot of people miss with his explosiveness. Look, they both have advantages. I would say this. I like the workhorse guys. I like the guys that can go in there and just play. And I love the fact that from first quarter to the fourth quarter, you're getting the same player. I'd give that the edge to Harris here. But both of these players are extremely qualified to be at that pick for the Jets.
Great analysis there, AB. And as the draft quickly approaches, we'll see if the Jets take a running back there and with that second-round pick. Now let's jump to our final mock draft of this week, and this one comes from CBS Sports' Ryan Wilson. Now, Ethan, we got a couple of different picks I'd like for you to talk about. What stands out to you about this specific mock draft?
Well, let's work in reverse here. Let's hit the trifecta. Javonte Williams, another running back at 34, a little bit of a different flavor than both Travis Etienne and Najee Harris. Javonte Williams is a brute. 5'9", 212 pounds. He led the country in both broken tackles and first down carries this past season. He averaged 6.3 yards a pop over his 3-year career with the North Carolina Tar Heels. But let's stay in the ACC. Pick number 23 was Gregory Rousseau, who a lot of NFL draft analysts think is the biggest boom or bust draft prospect in the class. In 2019, he was one of 2 players with at least 15 sacks. The other one was Chase Young, the number 2 overall pick from last season. But Rousseau opts out of 2020. He medical redshirt in 2018. He transitions from wide receiver to defensive line in 2017 as a high school senior. So he's new-ish to the position, but he's got that raw trait that I think a lot of NFL draft scouts like. He's 6'6", 265 pounds, and in this mock draft in particular, EA and Anthony and Erik Coleman talked about this. Coming to this situation, if you're Gregory Rousseau, where you have Carl Lawson, you have Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Vinny Curry, the list goes on and on. Maybe that's the best situation or one of the better situations for Gregory Rousseau, where you don't necessarily need to start immediately from day one.
As we get closer to the NFL draft, some of these picks will start to unfold before our eyes.